Hey everyone, Sharon here. How are you today? Welcome to my page, I Restore Stuff. And if you're joining the replay, welcome to you too. And if you're on my YouTube channel, welcome to you there too. Today, I'm going to be stenciling a coffee table. Yep, got it all ready. Got it all ready to stencil. And just for those of you who know and have been following me for a while, I'm an ambassador for Essential Stencil, a USA-based stencil company. And I got some happy mail from them this week, so I'm excited about that. And one of my favorites is going to have to be, because I love coffee, as you can maybe see, I don't know if you can see my sign in the kitchen back there. We've got the coffee menu going. We've got the little barista coffee machine over here in the corner. So and we're a bit of coffee snobs over here in Australia, some of us. So yeah, I will be showing you then how to stencil right here. Let me just see if I can scroll through and see my live. Sorry guys, just got to make sure I can see your comments coming through. Thank you guys, I can see some of them here. Hi Anita, hi Doris, lovely to see you. And yes, all right, there's lots of people from Canada, Kentucky, we've got people from the USA. Now, if you're in Australia, I'm going to be using some fun chalk paints from Artisan here today also. We're painting, stenciling on a coffee table. I'm going to be using the coffee stencil from Essential Stencil. So if you are in the USA, these are still only shipping to the USA at the moment. Now, I get this question sometimes because right here in Australia, we aren't able to receive the Essential Stencil stencils yet, but I have heard of our Australia Post, our national post system, has a system where, and I looked it up before, I've got a link for it if you need that link. If you are in Australia, let me know, because you can get a USA address, have things shipped to the USA address, and Australia Post will then ship it to Australia. So there's that winning so far for you guys. So let me know if you are from Australia and you're interested in that, and I'll send you the link. Or you can just look it up on the Australia Post website. Just look up USA postal address. So the coffee stencils, I did an unboxing this week too. If you haven't seen that, go check out my Instagram Reels, or I put it on TikTok too, guys. I'm on TikTok. And also, I think I put it here on my Facebook page, a video on all of the different new stencils that are available from Essential Stencil. Because, oh, and also, use my code, I Restore Stuff. If you use my code when you're shopping for Essential Stencils, you get 10% off your whole entire order using that code. And I totally forgot to put my link here, so let me just do that for you because that's very helpful. Now let me show you what stencils we have here. Thank you, Tammy, for sprinkling and sharing my live. Now this one is obviously coffee bar. I'm thinking I'm going to use that one on the coffee table. The other one, but first coffee. Who's with me? Who needs a little kickstart in the morning? Yes, Dawn says this is her favorite also. I know, right? Okay, I'm just going to get this link ready so I can send it to you. And there's a third, oh actually, no, there's 4 stencil. There's a bonus in this stencil set, guys. Can't wait to show you that. Hang on a second. The other one is Love is Brewing. And I think that's actually the name of this set. Love is Brewing 3-pack set. That's a cute one. Just copying, gonna find it, and I can drop this right there in the comments. I'll also add it to the description of my live later, but that's the link if you want to use my code, I Restore Stuff. That'll automatically put it in there for you when you're shopping at Essential Stencil. The bonus stencil right here in the coffee set is this one. Little coffee beans, a group of coffee beans here, and then we've got 2 different types of coffee cup. And look at that one with a cute little heart in the middle. That is going to be such a fun stencil to use. I think I'm going to be making signs for my shop booth. If you're in Brisbane, I have a shop booth upstairs in the Camp Hill Antique Centre. So drop in there anytime. They're open not 24/7, I was going to say. They're open from 9 to 5, 7 days a week, so every day they're open. All right, I'll see if I can. Now, the reason that I'm stenciling on this coffee table, one of the reasons, I just love to stencil on things. But this little, it's very small table, tiny coffee table. It's been sitting in my shop for a while now and it hasn't sold. And so I've still got the little tag on there, I think. And sometimes when an item hasn't sold for a while, I like to just take it home, give it a bit of a revamp. So one of the things I want to show you today is stenciling. The other thing is glazing. So when I'm finished, I'm going to put a glaze over the top, and I'm thinking of the Artisan Antique Glaze. So if you're here in Australia, I sell that in my online shop and also in my shop booth at Camp Hill Antiques. Right, bringing this a little bit closer so we can see the stenciling. This will help anyone with any stenciling, needing any stenciling tips right here today. So you want to make sure that it's in the center of the table. We're going to just eyeball that, typical Sharon style. But if I do, I think I have a ruler here somewhere, just for those of you who might be perfectionists. Yeah, why not a coffee stencil for a coffee table, right? Now, assuming that this is very centered in the stencil itself, let's measure. It's about 28 centimeters to there. Where did I measure to, guys? To the edge of there. Okay, 28 to there. Oh, almost exact. I reckon I've got to go just a little bit this way. Then I want to put some painter's tape on it. Now, painter's tape, this has been painted for a really long time, so the paint's pretty much solid right there. But painter's tape will stop it from moving about while you're trying to stencil, and also it can be helpful if your stencil has words that go right close to the end. This one's pretty good, but some of the stencils, they may be close to the edge. You can tape in that area so that it's not going to move anywhere. I'm going to grab a different stencil brush now, because the ones that I used earlier are now being cleaned. And if you missed that, I was live on the Essential Stencil page just a little while ago, about an hour ago, stenciling with the Stencil of the Month Club stencil set. So if you haven't joined the Stencil of the Month Club, and if you're in America, it is really well worth it. 3 stencils every time. Teresa, you keep freezing up. What is going on with my internet then today? I don't know. Okay, I'm using just a artisan chalk paint in the color charcoal, so it's a nice dark gray. Now, I am missing this bit on the visuals, but you can imagine I've got this about this much on my brush. Then I'm going to offload that onto the cardboard that's down here that you can't see. Then I'm going to just do a little swirling motion round and round on the stencil. To get nice sharp edges, you have to offload as much paint as you can off the brush, because you don't want to get that all over underneath the stencil. It can bleed under and you can get some really fuzzy, furry edges. Just going to put my glasses on. Yes, Maria's asking, is this stencil set new? She only has the one that I designed in the Stencil of the Month Club. That was last February. Yeah, I designed a coffee stencil set. And so this is a new one, Maria, that's in the set of the brand new stencils that have just come out recently. So you can grab this one on the essentialstencil.com website, and I've popped the link there in the comments. And you can see that there. You can use my code IRestoreStuff and get 10% off any of the new stencils, in fact anything in the shop, including their stencil brushes, the wooden tags, all of the things. So this is how I do it. You might find your way, your own way of stenciling. So I'm just dipping that into the brush, offloading onto the cardboard down below, or a piece of paper, whatever you like. I'm going to add a little bit more to this one because it feels a little bit like there's not as much on it. Trying to catch your, Teresa said I almost went over the edge. Oh, I did too. I almost went over the edge right there. Was not concentrating on that one. This is quite a big brush. This is one of the ones that I was given to try out at one stage. It's a lovely soft bristles. But yeah, because it's quite large, I did nearly go over the edge. I could probably just, if there was any on there, one way to fix that is getting a bit of really gentle, like fine grit sandpaper, if you do happen to go over the edge, and just sanding that off once it's dry. Or if it's still wet, you could try just rubbing it off with a wet cloth. So I'm going to show you glazing technique in a minute, and I've got a glazing video on YouTube that's actually shows you not only glazing but how to dry brush to create highlights on a piece, and that's probably one of my most popular videos to date, and I still get questions and people asking about the glazing technique that I've used on that video, but it is quite self-explanatory. Well, I explain it exactly in detail, show you how to glaze on that video. There's lots of good tutorials, all for free, over on my YouTube channel. You can check them out there. Open 24 hours, coffee bar. So hopefully I'm going to do a lot of these signs, the coffee signs for my shop, because I think that a lot of people will love these. Yes, some of you swirl, some of you stipple. So stippling is just doing this pouncing motion. I find just getting in there and wriggling it around a little bit can help just get it down into the stencil itself. These stencils are really nice and thick, really good quality mylar. Going this way, just need a little bit more on my brush, but notice how I'm putting less on the brush, but I can go back for a second time over it if I need to, but it's a lot better to have less on your brush than too much and get it all sort of bleeding underneath. So if you've got any questions about stenciling or painting furniture, let me know in the comments. I'll be glad to check those every now and then and see. Hi Carly, yes, I'm back. I'm on my page, hopefully. Yes, I'm on my page. Yeah, and someone was asking about this stencil set. So it's the coffee one. If you've just joined me, we've got a few different signs there. I'll show you those again in a minute. So lifting that up now, I've got a nice crisp design because, and hopefully that's straight. Nice crisp design because we've offloaded the brush as much as we could, right? So there's your coffee bar stencil. And that is almost, it's pretty dry to the touch. I've used a chalk paint over there to do the stenciling itself. And that's just from the Artisan Australian brand of chalk paint, Artisan chalk paint, which also do have a mineral paint, which we stock now also. So their glaze, I'm going to use the antiquing glaze. So that color was charcoal in their chalk paint range, and I'm finished with that right now. So I can pop the brush in the water. And now hopefully we can see this. Now the glazing is really great for if you've got some intentional detail, even brush strokes. It can lend lovely to having the glaze go on it. So what I'm going to use is, I've got a damp cloth, but it's not too damp, it's sort of fairly dry now. I'm going to apply the glaze. Let's get my stencil out of the way, and I should actually put my stencil, if you missed my live, let me just show you here quickly over on the back bench here. I've got some of the things that we made on the live over on Essential Stencils page using the party pack, some party decor. And this is kind of handy in my new house, having a kitchen sink right behind me that I've filled with water for my stencils. So we can just pop the stencil in there, and it's having a little bath now. All right, thank you Judy for sprinkling. I'm going to share this in my group later. But I've got a group too called I Restore Stuff. You can too, and if you have any furniture painting questions, you can always pop them in there. All right, I might move this across so that we're working on one side of it, so you can kind of see some detail first. I'm using antiquing glaze. So this is from Artisan. I'm going to shake your products most of the time. And you could just use any brush for this, or you can actually add it to the piece with a cloth. I'm going to use a brush right now, and it's just a little chip brush, nothing important, no, like, it doesn't have to be, it's water-based product, so it'll wash out anyway. So when I'm doing glazing, and I'm kind of working over where I can't really see, but I want you to be able to see here, a glaze is really like a really runny, thin substance. It's almost like a sealer, but it's not quite a sealer. So I always usually go over with a sealer to seal my pieces afterwards. And it'll just give it a lovely antiquing kind of feel. Now, at first you're going to look at it and go, oh, what has she done to that piece? It's looking ugly. But as you move the glaze around with your cloth, you can use a dry cloth to start with and then use a damp one. You can see that that's going on there. I'm going to work in sections and add the glaze. I'll show you in a second what happens when we sort of go over the top of the coffee sign part. Add the glaze and then you're wiping back the excess. So we don't want to wipe off too much, but we just want to wipe off enough so that we can still see it through there, and it creates sort of a streaky wood look effect. It's almost like a driftwood, barnwood kind of effect. We'll do it on the top here so you can see a bit better. See how I'm just kind of wiping that in one direction all the way across. And you can sort of do the glaze any way you like. You can even make it go any which way. I'm actually dragging that down to the other side of my board. Let me see if you can see that. Dragging it down to the other side of the coffee table to make it go even further. And I think I'm going to do that same thing on the front. Now, excuse the mistakes if there's any mistakes here on the front, but you'll be able to see the difference that a glaze makes just to create a bit of an aged effect on a piece of furniture. And as we go over the top of the coffee bar stencil, it'll create a nice old world look on that as well. Still got some glaze on that cloth, and I'm using a wet cloth, but you could use a dry one and see how much comes off then. So the glaze actually gives you a lot more working time with the product itself. So it's open time is what they call it. Yeah, Trina's asking, so you don't have to brush the glaze all the way to the end. You can if you want to, but I didn't because I knew that this would be enough to kind of carry on through. So I'm going to try that again on this side, just using a bit of the glaze. It's kind of, it's not paint, it's not a sealer, although it does have some sealing properties, but I would recommend using a sealer to just go over the top if you want to seal it all in, especially if you're using it for a coffee table or something that's going to be a bit more hard wearing. You can see as we go over the top of our coffee sign. There we go. I think I needed more on my brush. Now, because of the way that I'm traveling across here, I just want to make sure it gets all into those grooves there. Hope that makes sense. Yeah, I hope you'll give glazing a try. You can find the glaze also on my Amazon store if you're in the USA. You can see the Fusion has a glaze there also. So I'm just wiping that back now with, it's a damp cloth, but it's not really very wet at all. And I'm just giving it a gentle push across, because if I want more off, if I want to drag it more, I just have to push a little bit harder and drag it a little bit more across the surface. So you could just go back and forth. I'm just kind of just playing it by sight a little bit and just seeing, you know, whoop, see I've wiped too much and it creates a little bit more of a streak. So let's go back to where, there we go. So you can kind of blend it, drag it, but it's supposed to have that streaky glazed look about it. It's not supposed to be all, and look, I think my stencil, it almost looks like my stencil was not dry quite enough, and I've, oops, created a little bit of a drag from my stencil right there. So it probably is best to actually do your stencil and then let that completely dry. You can't see as much there, and it does give it a sort of an aged look, but I can just tell that the stencil could have been a little bit drier. So let's go on with this side over here. Let me see if we can still fit that on my table. The legs are about to come off the edge. Come down to this corner. And we'll just add a bit more glaze. There's still glaze on my brush. And now going across with this, creating that lovely glazy, aged, streaky look on the ends. Then, and I should probably take my little tag, my shop tag off so I can do those legs, because you want to have that all the same kind of uniform look. and turn that around. See if we can see one of the legs as I'm working on it here. Dipping the glaze in with your brush. Judy says, do you know that you can use antique glaze on canvas? Yes, you can. You can use it on so many different things. All right, so I want to show you how the glaze sits in the crevices, and I've just painted this previously just with some fusion mineral paint that I think it might be the colour Putty or Pebble. Can't remember which one. So I'm just going to paint that, and you're going to see how the glaze will just sort of sit in all the crevices that we've got some detail on that leg there. All right, so let me see if I can lean it back slightly. Excuse me. Oh dear, choking. I'll grab my drink of water. So you can see that sitting in the crevices. And that glaze that I had on there, there's now enough on my cloth to wipe that right around on the other side, the inside. And I can't actually see the other side without kind of turning it around. Oh, I can come out underneath here and I can see a bit better. If you do need extra on this side, just grab your brush, come in from under here, add a bit more. It's all a little bit artistic really, just painting, rubbing back, painting it on. You can see the difference now between the two different legs. So let's see if I can show you that difference. This one here, whoops, no, this one here has got the glaze on it. You can see it sitting in the crevices there, a little bit darker, and then this one has not got the glazing on it. So when that dries, it'll be a lovely, nice finish. If you've just joined me, I've stenciled a coffee bar sign stencil from Essential Stencil on the top of this. Now I'm going to glaze it. So join me over here. We've got the Antique and Glaze Artisan right here. And if you're in Australia, you can grab that from my online shop or at the Camp Hill Antique Centre if you're in Brisbane. Just going again along the front here. Well, this is now the back that I'm coming around to do. Add a little bit to the sides because we didn't do this side. And then I've got my sort of semi-damp cloth. I'm just going to drag that along. So if you've never played with glaze before, you could practice on something like a canvas. It's like an old canvas or some signboards, paint them up. Especially those signboards that have got the grooves in the edges. You can get some sample boards of wood to play with. Got a little bit more glaze on my brush. Oop, you can't see that. Bring it over this way. Just finish off that end there. And I feel like I've got glaze all over this damp cloth, but that's okay because you're sort of dragging it along, moving it around until you're happy with the look of it. So we've still got this patch left to do, and I mentioned before it looked like it was kind of mixing with that chalk paint that I've stenciled on with, so probably a better idea would be to make sure that your stencil is completely dried first before you use the glaze. As with the paint, and like I was saying before, this paint is actually painted probably over a year ago now, so it's well and truly past the curing stage and is completely dried on there. So we're just kind of blending, moving it around until we're happy with the look of it. So I'm kind of joining these two together now. Who would like a coffee table like this in their place? This is the Artisan Glaze, and it's an antique and glaze. They've got also a charcoal glaze and a clear glaze. Now with the clear glazes, you can mix it with any coloured paint and create your own glaze. You can even mix it with the metallics, like a gold glaze or a silver glaze. So that's a lot of fun too. So we've joined that together now. Just going over now with my damp cloth and a little bit at a time until we've blended it to where we want it. I feel like there's still some areas within that sign that were a bit white, so you've got to make sure it kind of gets in the grooves and the crevices. I've got some nice brush strokes on here that I love seeing the glaze sit into those original paint brush strokes. Just kind of keep going until you're sort of blending and you're happy with that blend. You can see areas where you might want to blend more than others till it's fairly even. But you can't be too fussy. I think sometimes we tend to overthink it and we go, oh, is it, you know, it's not looking perfect or whatever. But when you stand back and look at it, a lot of people just go, wow, that looks aged and old and antique. So let me turn that around for you so you can see the fun stencil, and I'll just go over those different stencils again. If you're in the USA, you can get these stencils from Essential Stencil. Get 10% off using my code IRestoreStuff. And I've got a link right there in the comments somewhere. And my code is just all one word. Let me write it in there for you. IRestoreStuff. That's my code to use for 10% off. So if you see that pop in the comments, just use that over at Essential Stencil. See how these legs haven't been done yet? But I did the other side. You can see that side there that I've done the top. It's all glazed and kind of looks aged and old looking. I'll take some closer photos of that, style it all up later. If you haven't seen my latest blog post, I'd love you to go check out my blog, irestorestuff.com. I recently painted a Edwardian trolley. It's really so old and antique, but I've painted it in a beautiful jet black with a wood top on it. Let me see if you can see that over there. But I'll show you the whole process of how I created this look. So we've got a few extra bits of junk on there at the moment, but my daughter Tori has styled that nicely for me, and I took some lovely photos. So you'll see all the photos of that over on the blog, irestorestuff.com. Go check that out. And I'd love you to, if you're in the USA and you have not tried Essential Stencils, go check them out. There's so many different ones in their brand new stencil range. This coffee one is from the new set. Where did I put them? Here they are. And let me just go over those again to show you what's in the set. So it's a 3 set plus a bonus. So we've got, of course, the coffee bar open 24 hours that I just did then. Then we've got Love is Brewing. That's cute. That'll be a cute sign. And then, but first, coffee. Great one if you're a sign maker. That will sell really well. I know it'll sell really well in my shop. I plan to make a few more of those signs. And then there's this little bonus one. You can add some coffee beans, you know, like to the end of your coffee sign. You might want to add a coffee cup, or see it's got the cute little heart coffee cup. Great idea. Great idea for mum for Mother's Day if she loves drinking her coffee, that kind of thing. So Maria, did you say you're in the USA now? No, I'm not. I'm in Australia. Still here in Australia, but I'm an ambassador for the USA company Essential Stencil, and so that's where I get the stencils, show you how to use them on the lives, and I get a small commission on any that you use my link for, and you get to save 10% off by using my code IRestoreStuff. So that is amazing. Abby's keen. When can we see the May stencils? Hang on, we're still doing the, what are we? April stencils. So yeah, if you jump over there, you'll be able to, if you're in the Stencil of the Month Club, they will show you the new stencils first coming out. So make sure you're in the club. You can get 50% off your first month if you join their Stencil of the Month Club. You get 3 stencils every month sent directly to you. But like I said, they aren't shipping to Australia right now, but if you are following me and you are in Australia, I did hear of an Australia Post USA shipping address where you can get a USA shipping address, have things sent to that, and then get them, Australia Post will forward them on to you. So that is always fun. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching today. Hope you enjoyed that coffee project. Now my coffee table is almost ready. Just going to finish off those legs and we'll pop it in my shop for next week. Thanks for watching. Bye. Oh, it's a stretch.